What does it take to be a good leader, an effective leader? There's books, there's information, self-help stuff, there's seminars. Good golly, a lot of information on it. Is it got to be kind of in your bones, though, in your background, in your upbringing? I don't know. Psychologically speaking, how do we benefit from a good leader? There's all kind of questions here. Dr. John Braccio is the question answerer for us on a number of different things. Regional Psychological Services in East Lansing. And joins us today with our What's Up, Doc segment. Doc Braccio, good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Mike. And boy, you're right. There's been a lot of things written and a lot of things done in relation to the effective leader. Well, not as much as written about the ineffective manager, team leader. And the unfortunate reality is that many persons have to work with them. And unfortunately, they're alive and well in all areas of leadership. Boy, we certainly hear about ineffective leaders. An unfortunate thing for persons that work with them is that they can really believe they're the problem. They can really get confused about what is good leadership and end up being really not successful in their careers or whatever activities that they're going into. So the fact a person is not a good leader or manager really doesn't mean they're a bad person. Okay, to the contrary, many of them are very good persons. They just don't really have the ability to lead. Now, this becomes an interesting point when one realizes that most businesses that fail do so because of bad leadership in planning and implementation versus not really having the fundamentals for success. If you have not been around effective leaders, it can be really difficult to determine if you're part of the problem or if the manager is the problem and really, what happens, why the business fails. Well, certainly, if you're looking for advice and you want modeling, really it's desired for you to learn how to be a good leader, really, and you find that this really isn't true, you're not having it, well, then you do have to really look at, what are effective methods, okay? And you have to determine if this is the right environment for you. Because if you're not with good leadership and you're really seeing yourself not do well and you see those around you not doing well, then you really have to take a look around you. Now, problem areas of ineffective leadership, and again, the key, if you're in a well-oiled machine, if you will, and things are going well, you just kind of take that for granted if you're in it, or many people do. But if you're really with an ineffective leadership, well, these are the kind of things you run into, Mike. There's a lack of empathy for the people they lead, lack of an intuitive sense of what employees or members of the team need, both professionally and personally, no effective vision for the future of the projects being worked on. Now, this would be true whether it was something as titanic as building an atomic bomb or having an effective football or any type of a team. Inability to effectively delegate responsibilities and stifle joy and creativity by micromanager, the micromanager who wants to know everything. You've run into people, or at least you're aware of them, and then things never get completed appropriately. They must oversee and manage the whole process, the program that's being managed, everything. And then lack of total commitment to the project. You can be working in a project where the person, they're really not working that hard. They're not available if you have problems or questions. Or then choosing favorites and not being fair with employees and team members. That'll really sink a team. Setting unreasonable and often confusing demands on staff that only lead to failure, poor morale, and constant dissatisfaction. Then rewarding incompetence instead of competence. Deceit and dishonesty. Now, that'll ruin any system when you've got people you can't trust and they're not being truthful. Not making available the appropriate training and tools to successfully complete a project. For example, you can't build a building without skilled workers and the tools to do it. Or a football team with 5 runners and no offensive line is predictably not going to be very successful. Or giving the carpenter rulers rather than hammers to put in nails. So overall, if you've got yourself ineffective leadership in an ineffective team, this can really slow you down, and it really can even confuse in you what's going wrong. Is it you? Is it the system you're in? So if you're in really an environment that's not going well, and you have people that have these lack of leadership skills, and you do have to take a look, is this where you want to be? is this the right place? Is this time to move on or whatever? And if you find that you're doing these things and you're the leader, then it clearly is the time to make some changes in your style.
Yeah, and there are tons of programs to develop leadership. I said early on that maybe it's you're a born leader. We heard that said before. Is that? Do you think that's a thing? Can you be a born leader? I think it has to do with your environment as you grow up. Maybe your parents are good leaders or whatever.
I think you obviously have to learn skills. There certainly are people that are more intuitive. They're more tuned into people, more tuned into their needs. But obviously, if you grow up in a home that has good leadership, good positive reinforcement, and then you're working and modeling around good leaders, then obviously that gives you a real heads up. As far as born, I don't know if you're born, but there are people that just seem to start right out of the chute where they're able to be effective. So, but obviously the old nature nurture kind of idea. But clearly, if you're given the tools, if you have good modeling, see, my concern for the worker that's in a system that's dysfunctional is if they don't really pick up on it, they run the risk of becoming dysfunctional and not knowing what functional really is. So if you want to model it, because back on your question too, I think if there have been people around you that have modeled good leadership, that have been able to work with people that they have a business plan, or they have, whether it's a football team or a basketball team or your local, fruit sale, for some fundraiser, you're going to see that they're just people that know what they're doing. That things start, things work good in the process, things get done. And there are other people that really almost are like our good friend Mr. Magoo from the past. They just can't. They don't have a vision. They're not able to carry forward. So these are really important things. And the reason I mention this, there's so many books out. Be the Effective Leader. You Can Do It. And I think these are wonderful things. However, it is important to realize there's another side of the coin. That if you're trying to advance in life, trying to be successful, and all of a sudden you run into one of these ineffective people, you can start challenging your own. And then if all of a sudden you're listening, you say, golly, that's me. I've often complained about that I don't reward, excellence, that I'm not available when people need to talk to me, that I don't bring the right tools. And here I am blaming these people and not realizing I'm the problem.
Then there's another thing that maybe should be on here is humility. Because if you don't have humility, you're not going to see your own faults in leadership and be able to make a change. And I think, going back to being born leader, I want to take that back. I don't think you're born. I don't think you're a born leader. I think it is more nurture than nature. If you have, maybe you have ineffectual parents, but what if your neighbor was just a fantastic leader? And you see what I'm saying? There are mentors, teachers, whatever that you latch. And we all know those people. We all have them. Maybe you're one of them.
I think your points are good ones. And actually, humility is actually a good word because, people that know everything, quote, these are the hardest people to work with. Well, you can't change them. Like, that's why they take you. They get you involved in things that don't work. Even like my sports example, let's say you run out and recruit 5 runners, but you don't have an offensive line. Well, you're not going to do very well. Or if you get 10 technocrats in a sales organization, but nobody who's good at sales, your system's going to fail. So you really do have to have somebody who can have a view. And humility is a good word because if you're going to lead the team, people want to know that you're not a know-it-all, that you're not a tyrant, that you're not the micromanager, that you're not the type of person who's not going to listen to the concerns and the complaints, if you will, that people have. And if people are dissatisfied with you as the leader, you also have to say, well, this could be me. That's the form of humility you're talking about. Well, I can be the problem. These are all important things. But again, we want to live a world where we are a good leader, but if you're not with a good leader and you're seeing these ineffective things, then, hey, time to take a look at your life and determine what you're going to do, because we want to be happy in life, and we're very happy if we're a good leader or if we're working for those and working involved with those that are good leaders. Very important things, Mike.
You have said a ton. Boy, right there. That is a mouthful. Dr. John Braccio, as always. Good advice. Regional Psychological Services, East Lansing, Doc Braccio, every Tuesday on our What's Up, Doc segment. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Doc, we'll talk next week.
Sounds good, my friend. Have a good week. Good talking to you.
You as well.
Bye-bye.
All righty. Bye-bye. 1320 WILS here on your morning wake up.